I work in social justice, and more specifically, I work in environmental justice. And I'd like to invite you with me while I spend a week in Fairbanks, Alaska, where I spent much of my childhood, to go to a gathering for a program called the Guardians Program. And in this gathering, there was all different kinds of shares on all the different kinds of ways people implement or use this idea within their communities. What I really want to emphasize is how well I thought this was done. In environmental justice, I spent a lot of time in spaces where there's not very many Indigenous people. And at this gathering, there was mostly Indigenous people. And it was done in such a way that it just felt really strongly like it was coming from a heart space. There was plenty of Indigenous music, storytelling, and presentations of Indigenous people who are doing this work within their communities. It just was incredibly well done, and I want to give such deep gratitude to the organizers for putting together such a thoughtful and comfortable and heart-centered space. There were so many beautiful things to look at. Look at these mukluk's right here. They also had beading. They provided materials so that those of us who listen better when our hands are busy had something to do, and I really appreciated that. Now, I only got a couple of clips to show you, but trust me, there was some really beautiful art that was being made. It was also very cold, from like 9 degrees to negative 11. And in 2025, I developed an allergy to the cold. So this is what that looks like on my skin. It's itchy and uncomfortable. And how is an Inuit allergic to the cold, you might ask? I don't know. And the Northern Lights came out, which was nice. Now you might be wondering, what is the Guardians program? And this is the part that I really, really like, because when I work in environmental justice in my region, much of our people are reliant on the money that come from oil and gas. And when we talk about moving away from that, the biggest question we get is, what is the alternative? Now, this in itself isn't going to be the only alternative, but it is one option that I'm really looking forward to expanding in Alaska. It's basically Indigenous people, rural areas, villages, these communities, these small communities, taking the research and the science and the environmental monitoring into their own hands, not just by paying community members to do the work, but also just having autonomy over the data that they collect in the community. Another option that I would love to see is paying the subsistence hunters in communities who already provide for the vulnerable members of the community who aren't able to subsist for whatever reason. They're elderly, physically incapable, don't have the equipment, whatever it is. I think there's a huge opportunity to give gratitude to those members who are already doing this work. I met some really incredible people during this and got to reconnect with some people that I've worked with in the past or I just haven't seen in a while. I'll leave you with some music that we all got to enjoy. Thank you for watching.
Hana sakit la hana sakit kliyazi dawe da hana sakit kliyazi.
hayang ya hayang he